Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Power Zone. My name is Brad. If you guys are watching from Don's channel, uh, we're getting to trying to merge everyone over to the Power Zone. So make sure you guys are doing that, aka Own the Chaos. If you guys are curious about the brand switches, because Don and I are looking to all live under one roof over here. I have the larger channel, so it just makes a whole lot of sense. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. All of the content, stock market related, is going to be over here. So make sure you guys get your heinies over to the Power Zone. But guys, what's up? We got a huge, yes, I said heinies. Deal with it. Um, we got a huge day for earnings. Markets are kind of flat. Dow Jones is up 1.18%. The S&P is still flat. Nasdaq's flat. So not a whole lot moving in the overall markets today. But listen, Palantir is up over 30%, which is insane. We talked about it yesterday. I didn't rule out some sort of move on Palantir, but I just cautioned. And if you guys caught today's email, I also put that out there today. It's like listen, like no surprise to kind of see this insane volatility from Palantir from some head scratcher type news on their earnings yesterday. Obviously, AI is at the forefront. That's why the stock's moving out of control. So I would just, I would just err on the side of caution with that. But we can take a look at it. I mean, here's the move. Just insane. This is a 15-minute chart. You can see that Don has his zones laid out, but pretty crazy stuff. Still, just wouldn't be. I just wouldn't be chasing it up here if it were me. We kind of talked about the expected move and where this went out. Look at this. Saw a small correction in the middle of the day, and then came down to that expected move and just jumped right up to the next zone and trying to battle its way out of this zone that we have marked out here. So pretty crazy stuff. Not too surprising from a stock that like Palantir, when there's a lot of retail involved in it. You got everybody buzzing about Palantir. Um, I would say this is like one of the. Would you classify this as a meme stock? Here's your daily chart. I don't think I would, but this was one of those stocks that got super popular over COVID when they had their direct listing and did really well. Obviously, it went even higher than this when it was first listed, and so it's remained one of those stocks that's kind of lived through it. So now that there's actual legitimacy to this one compared to some of the other meme stocks that we saw flying around, and I wouldn't consider Palantir a meme stock by any stretch of the imagination, but it was just one of those ones that caught fire during that time. And you can see there's still a lot behind this, and for good reason. I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not shitting on it at all. It's a fact. It was one of those ones that just got really popular over COVID, and it hasn't really lost it all that much. We had obviously the strong correction in 22, but since then it's done really well. And these earnings was a big head scratcher for me on the reaction, I should say, but not too much of a surprise. We did see uh, some talk from Palantir in that their guidance, especially for the quarter that we are currently in, came in below expectations. Nobody seemed to care. Josh says sold on that $20 strike price this morning on Palantir. Listen, hey, good stuff, right? Take the money and run. Can't be mad about that. But what's up, Lord Fenrir, Kevin Hawthorne, Neiman Dog, Mike Hudson? What's up, my man? Michael Snookeroo, Lost. Hey, what's up, Lost One? Haven't seen you in a minute, my man. James B. Did you take any plays on Fortinet? No, but we will be reacting to that as well this afternoon. So make sure that you're staying tuned for that. So Fortinet does have earnings today. We also have Ford, Snap, Enphase, Chipotle. Huge day for earnings that we're going to be reacting to after the close. But I wanted to just address Palantir since we reacted to it yesterday and it had this insane move today. I looked over Spotify because they had earnings this morning, and Eli Lilly, and they had earnings. They did okay. Not really anything to write home about. So not really going to talk about those too much unless somebody has a real specific question on it, but not really much going on there. Cody says, what's Palantir's forward earnings? Got to be 150x. Yeah, where is their earnings? They haven't changed. They haven't updated much. I have to go back and actually do the math if I want to get what their forward earnings are right now. But yeah, they're in the stratosphere. Absolutely bananas. Let's see here. What's up, Lisa G? I know it's not Palantir, but starts with a P. Would you please take a look at PLTO? Um, Real quick, I'll take a look at PLTO. We got a little bit to go. Polite? I've never even heard of this. Was that the one we're looking at? That looks like a cryptocurrency. I don't. Did you? Is that a typo? PLTO? Oh, PTLO. Sorry, PTLO. I misread that. My brain typoed it. It's a brain typo. PTLO. There we go. Portillos? Not sure I'm familiar with this one either. Let's take a look at it. PTLO. I don't see much on this. I don't really have. I would rather take a deep dive, but it doesn't look like there's much going on here. Um, Looks like it's just a restaurant. It's a chain, Chicago style hot dogs. Is this like a Midwest type of chain? It's not out here on the East Coast, so that's probably why I haven't heard of it. So my apologies to those of you who have been to a Portillo's, but I'll take a closer look at that some other time, maybe even later in the afternoon if it gets slow. But it's going to be a busy day for earnings. So let's go ahead and get into that actually. So Snookeroo said Eli Lilly shit the bed. All right. Portillo's. Mike Hutz. Okay, thanks for the clarification that it's a Midwest thing. Yeah, not out here in the East Coast. Shock City Rocker says, I'm not complaining about Palantir because I own it, but it's crazy. Too fast, too soon. Couldn't agree more with you, Shock City Rocker. I'm sure it'll settle down. It'll come back. It'll correct a little bit. But yeah, what a crazy move on that, right? Okay, so first order of business FTNT. Fortinet. Oh, shoot. Let me correct this, guys. Hold on one second. I'm going to pull this back up. Charts got all wonky. But Fortinet, we got Fortinet, Ford, Snap, as well as Enphase, Chipotle, all reporting today. Here we go. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Let's come out to the daily chart on Fortinet so you guys can get a snapshot of what it's been doing over the last quarter. Okay. Last time around, they came in and reported earnings and it had a pretty decent reaction. And you can see since November, really the end of October, it's had a hell of a move. Fortinet had its corrections, but it's done really well. Year to date, it's up 15%. Over the last 52 weeks, it's up 29%. Expected earnings here are 43 cents, $1.41 billion, and 34 upgrades. Lots of analysts on this one from the street. 34 upward revisions to 0 down. So nobody is bearish on Fortinet. And sometimes that makes me a little nervous. When everybody is in on a stock, makes me a little nervous. 42 times next year's earnings, and it's a $50 billion market cap. Growth here is pretty good. 26% year over year. Revenue growth forward is at 21%. So we'll see what they have to say here. But that is your earnings expectations for Fortinet, and they're going to be reporting this afternoon. Kind of pumped to see where that's at, but the valuation seems awfully lofty. Awfully lofty. Don't know why. Oh, why did it do that? It must be Don poking around in here. Don and I use the same charts in TradingView so that we can both follow along together whenever we're working together. He must be trying to poke around in here or something. It's usually what happens. But okay, so there's your Fortinet expectations. Also getting the reporting today is Ford. Ford is expected to come in 12 cents a share, $41.59 billion. The street's mixed on this, 7 upward revisions to 8 down. And we all kind of know that Ford's been a bit risky here as of late, but they're still trading like stupid cheap, 6 times next year's earnings. It's just really, really tough to see, but the valuation, you can't argue with that. I mean, Ford is cheap. Something that Don has traded regularly, especially on the options side of things. Um, okay. I don't know. Don, you got to just come on in, man, because you're ruining my flow. Why are we talking about? Come on in. Sorry.
I was
All right,
trying
buddy.
not to ruin your flow, which is why I tried to
I
comment.
know. Yeah, but I know. But
We still need to talk about Ford. Whatever, catch me up on what's going on. But I
Ford.
just before we get off here, I want to talk about Nvidia.
Okay, so that's what we'll be talking about towards the end of the show.
Mhm.
Got tons of stuff to react to. We got Fortinet, Ford, Snap, Enphase, Chipotle are all reporting here after the bell. But you also have something that you want to mention about Nvidia, which we
Mhm.
can get to. But that being said, what's up?
My account after buying puts on Nvidia.
And
uh,
then and you went long on Palantir too, right?
Patrick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Did you call that a COVID stock? I got a couple messages.
I did, but I mean, it was a COVID stock. It got direct
Yeah.
listed right in the height of COVID. People went bananas over it. Went up to $42 a share, and it's kind of the
Mhm.
only one that's really stuck around as far as loyalty. And I'm talking about investors and in general. Like they one of the only ones that's come out of COVID that actually kind of like survived it versus some of the other ones that we saw. But I also backed up the fact that it was for legitimate reasons. So people
Yeah.
getting their feelings can kick rocks.
Oh no, they said you corrected it. They said even the chat said I think Brad just called it a COVID stock, and I was like,
No,
"There-
no.
there's a reason anybody who's in or following the account in the group is up. There's a reason why Palantir was the number one buy that we had. I'm actually super bullish uh, Palantir. So hopefully it right now it's a bit up. I hope it pulls back so I can grab a little bit more. But yeah, everything about yesterday made sense. I mean, the options chain was pricing in a ridiculous move, and we got we got two standard deviations off of that. We
Yeah.
pushed up, we went just zone to zone, hung out there for a second, and then pushed past it. Today looks like more market makers doing delta hedging, getting into that. That's where you get that vacuum up, sucked it into that next zone. But I'm hoping it chills out. I'm not done buying it, but I don't like buying at the highs.
Yeah.
So hopefully, I had no problem buying it. So like last time the earnings came out, it shot it to 10. Everyone warned me, don't buy it. I was like, no, I'm going in, and then it just continued up. This time though, after this push up, like I want a pullback. They've got insane demand,
Yes.
AI demand, and then also their dilution, which you brought up, which used to be a huge problem with their packages.
Yeah.
Um, what do you call them? Not payment packages. What's the word I'm
It
looking
was
for?
part of their employee compensation
Yeah,
was to
yeah,
get that to have stake in the company. A lot of them dump the stock.
yeah. They're also chilling out with that. So like the
Yeah.
dilution's becoming less and less while the AI demand is coming in. So it's kind of just happening right at the right time.
They still
Uh,
have 2 billion shares outstanding, which is a lot. So,
how much does
um,
Ford have outstanding?
um,
Like a trillion?
I don't know. Not a trillion. Hell no. No
I mean,
chance.
I know. I'm just if I say a billion sounds like a lot to me, but then all of a sudden, like it would be nothing.
A billion's not a lot if it's a very low price stock. So, for example,
Right.
2 billion shares on a sub penny stock is not a lot. But when you
Mhm.
start to getting into, a $20-$30 stock, it's a ton. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Um, so that it still calls for concern because those shares are just out there floating and anybody can dump them at any time. Um, somebody said looks like the pound tiers runs over. I don't know what charts you're looking at, but I don't know about that. Um, not ready to make that call. I think it's a little too early. So that being said, we were talking about Ford. Ford, lots of mixed opinions on Ford from the street. Just talking about
Mhm.
analysts in general, not that they matter a whole lot, but there's always kind of that contrarian indicator. And I was talking about Fortinet earlier, just before you came on, and like literally everybody and their mother is so bullish on Fortinet, it's not even funny. Which sometimes gives me pause when it's just like it's got so much positive news around it. Can sometimes mean that you should be going the other direction.
Mhm.
But
We'll be talking about
uh,
that here in a little bit.
not the case with Ford. Ford is lots of mixed opinions on this one's obviously moved out of this zone here towards the end of the day. We're back on the 5-minute chart so we can react to this in real time now that the market's officially closed. Just as a reminder, guys, we're reacting to Fortinet, Ford, Snap, Enphase, and Chipotle. There's other ones out there. If you guys want me to react to those, we certainly can do that. Just make sure you're putting in the chat. But those are the big ones.
Mm.
And so, yeah, Ford's expected to come in earnings wise at 12 cents a share, $41.59 billion in revenue. And the auto industry has been really interesting, but this seems like used auto sales are down 22% from the pandemic peak levels, and that was as of today. Uh, Ford though is so cheap that it almost looks like an irresistible buy here, even after earnings. And obviously, it'll make more sense once we see what they have to say after this earnings call. But
Mm.
man, trading at 6 times next year's earnings at $46 billion, it just seems like a really cheap stock right now.
Mm. I don't know. I've had Ford for years, years. It's why I don't sell my shares, because it just stays flat. It loves its like range,
Yeah,
and occasionally you have these hiccups where it goes from one range to like the next range. It's a great one to sell options on. Remember when we first started going over options, I said Ford's going to be the
yeah,
best, like the easiest one, because you're barrier to entry. It's not making Nvidia moves.
right.
During not Palantir. During the Rona, it clearly went nuts.
Yep.
But I don't know. I'm not too bullish overall the automotive scene. I mean, if give me started on any rant, I'm short GM. They're going away.
Yeah.
They're stupid.
Yeah.
But as far as EVs go, as far as that takeover goes, I've said it for years, since the beginning of my YouTube channel. Literally it was bullish Tesla, the energy factor. Then Tesla started making cars, and I said Tesla and Ford will be the top two EV manufacturers. So I do think they'll capitalize on that, and I'm sure margins have probably gone up a bit now that they're selling again. Because we went to the Rona and the shutdown, there was 3 trucks available. Like, remember when I came out to Baltimore,
Yeah.
I just bought a car just for the trip. It was the
We both
F-150,
did. Yeah,
the
we both.
silver one. Yeah, I literally left the dealership to drive down. I was like, my other one had like 50,000 miles on it. I was like, I don't need anything happening. And that was I didn't pick silver. That was literally the only truck to even pick from. And but the demand was still there. But now they actually have vehicles to sell. So I'm sure. I think I'm bearish the automotive sector, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a bullish earnings, especially after yesterday's sell-off.
Yeah, stock moved up. It was actually had a decent day. It's up 4.5% on the day today. We'll see how this reacts, but we got other ones too that are reporting, and it looks like Snap might starting to move here. We'll see, but Snap does have earnings today as well. I'll be happy to share whatever numbers come out if they are out on this one. But
zoom out to Meta's earnings on this one real quick. I want to see how this reacted when Meta came out.
okay, Meta was last week, guys. So we see pretty decent. This is a daily chart, pretty decent gap up last week.
Okay, so as long as they come in line,
yeah,
then we should see most of the green probably already took place. And we see this a lot because Meta, Snap, and Google kind of all move together. They're going to talk about ad revenue, and typically Snap is the first one to come out.
Yeah, I know. I was just about to say that's kind of weird.
Yeah, it was backwards this year, or I guess this time. So if you're ever watching that, Snap is usually when Snap earnings is coming out, I'm usually in a Meta play just for that,
because it usually dictates the other social media apps.
Yeah,
Pinterest is the same way. Pinterest is the first one that comes out that usually makes the other ones move.
Yeah, so I'm willing to bet this one. I don't want to say the fireworks are done, but I guess the earthquake's probably more the better example. The main earthquake's done. We're going to see a tremor after this, because what is Snap going to say that isn't already? It's kind of like Tesla with their deliveries and then earnings comes out. Like, the big shocking news is likely already out there.
Yeah.
And not that Meta did well for the 50 billion buyback and a few other reasons, but as far as Meta and Google talking about ad revenue coming back and coming up, that would have been the surpriser here for Snap that I think would have really sent this thing soaring if it came out first.
The big metric here is going to be monthly active users, or MAU. That's usually the thing. Like, it's just like with Netflix, when you see subscriber counts go up or they come in above expectations on subscribers, MAUs are kind of the same thing for Snap. So if monthly active users are up compared to the quarter before or above expectations. That's usually what influences Snap more than anything else. They could miss earnings, they could miss guidance or whatever, miss
Mhm.
revenue, but all investors seem to really care about this stock in particular as those MAUs.
Yeah,
They're
we need to
expected
let
to come in. Sorry, go ahead.
so we just need to let Melanie on the earnings call. She's got it figured out. Snap better say AI. That's all they gotta say.
Oh yeah, pretty much. They're expected to come in at 6 cents per share, $1.38 billion in revenue. It's so crazy that a company like Snap still just makes such a small amount of money, relatively speaking. Nobody's saying that $1 billion isn't a lot, but compared to some of the other ones, it's still very small. 9
Mhm.
upward revisions to 2 down on this one from the street. And so we'll see how this goes. I'm not seeing any numbers yet, so this just looks like some after hours
Looks like
BS.
we got numbers on Ford though.
All right, let's go back to Ford and check that out. Shot right up here. It's up 7% on the initial reaction to earnings. Let's see what those numbers are. Pretty crazy move there, especially after it was already up 4 today.
Mhm. Right
Let's
to
see.
the expected move. All right. If you zoom out, you'll see there's a 10 to 11. No,
Wow.
there's $11 range and there's a $12 to $13 range that Ford loves to stay in. So I would be genuinely surprised if the move above 13 actually holds.
I got some massive numbers. I just want to double check this.
Give me something ridiculous.
That's the second number I've seen now. So adjusted earnings per share, 29 cents versus the 13 that was expected. Revenue came in at $46 billion versus the 40 that was expected. So monster beats on both of those numbers. For 2024, adjusted EBITDA 10 to 12 billion. The estimate there was also 9.25. So well above expectations on guidance for 2024 as well. That those are monster numbers compared to what was expected. 29 cents. Damn. Big old number. That's why it stocks up 7%. Might even go up higher than this.
Uh, Hopefully not. I had Cody's asking, did I sell the 13 calls with them? And yeah, some of mine are. I have 13s. I have 1150 sold. 1150. It's got to pull back quite a bit for that. 13s. I'll at least roll next week. I won't move any strike up or anything like that. But like I said, I'm actually not too worried. Again, I'll be genuinely surprised if the move above 13 holds. I'm more worried about any strikes below that.
Yeah. So we got about 200 of you guys total, about 120 over here on the Power Zone channel. If you guys are watching over at Don's channel on the Don Fran Show, make sure you guys come on over here. We're all going to be living under one roof at very shortly here. So it'll just be me and Don on one channel. So if you guys are watching over the Don Fran Show, make your way over. We'd love to have you guys hang out here. It's going to be pretty awesome to just finally have us all living under one roof.
Mm.
But let's go ahead and get to end phase because that one looks like it is also moving here.
And
Um,
to
and
answer, Southside's asking, my schedule is Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday live. That's when you'll for sure see just me. And then Brad is Monday through Thursday. And then we try to just jump in when we can.
yep. And then we'll put, obviously random videos out whenever it makes sense, news breaks, something like
Yeah.
that. But yeah, that's our regular schedule. I'm kind of the earnings guy, just covers earnings. It's really kind of the only channel on the internet that covers earnings like this, which is kind of crazy. I would have thought that I would have had more competition by now. But so if you guys, I'm your earnings guy. So that is going to be the name of my game here. Enphase came in at 54 cents. They missed earnings expectations by a penny. Revenue came in at 302 versus and missed revenue there. So they were expected to come in around 327 million. They came in at 302. So they missed, it looks like, on both earnings per share and revenue, which is interesting to see the slowdown there, Don, because it's just been an absolute monster over the last year and a half, 2 years.
In phase?
Yeah.
Yeah. This one's going to be, I don't think this one's really going to move until interest rates come down. This one's just that sector is very interest rate sensitive. We
Yeah.
should you can change the charts up top because as soon as we go to one, someone's calling out another one because everyone's releasing their earnings. I guess Snap is down a lot. And as I say, we can either bounce back and forth. ADD this thing up, or next to June up top, you can just click and make it 2 screens. We could show Snap.
Yeah, I was going to. I just didn't know because
Go to
sometimes
the right.
people complain that it's hard to see. So
There you go. Click that. I would do vertical. Don't do horizontal. The horizontal one is hard. At least this way you can still spread things out and
yeah. All right, let's
see.
fine. Let's take a look at Snap here.
Daily won't show it though.
Nope. Yeah, pretty decent drop there.
Oh wow.
That's down 21, almost 22%.
Who in my group sold puts on Snap? Did anybody? I'm just curious if anybody sold. It's Snap kind of has its. Snap used to be my number 2. Like Ford, I would always keep, and then Snap was like number 2 to run the wheel on. I'd sell puts, I'd sell calls on shares. It's hasn't been that way for, oh my gosh, it's probably been over a year now. But it started to make a comeback because the premiums were looking good. Looks like Vinay did. He sold the 12 and 13s. Cutting it close. But we got 2 zones to blow through before that gets assigned.
I just saw Dave Portnoy went long on Snap. That guy's just going to continue to get wrecked. Snap came in and missed on earnings. It looks like, probably, obviously, right? Just want to get the numbers right here.
Ooh, could David bought 14 puts? Interesting. How much were those? That's it's hard not to just go on a rant when people buy out of the money stuff like that, because usually I'm the one selling the contracts to those people. I'll take your money all day long, but it looks like this would be the time the slot machine pays the jackpot. Going from way out of the money to in the money. If you bought those for just pennies, maybe 10, 11 cents, with earnings, it's probably more like 30 or 40. But at least your real value should be up a little bit.
Yeah, revenue came in and missed 1.36 billion versus 1.38. Earnings per share 8 cents versus 6 that was expected. Dave Portnoy bought Snap $20 calls and sold 15 puts for March before earnings today.
Well, he's going to own it at 15. Honestly, if I did that, if I sold if I was in Dave's shoes, I probably wouldn't care. I would sell calls against it. I don't know if I'd even, with this particular one, and I'm so big on having a stop loss and everything. But this particular one, I would sell weeklies on. I would just sell the 15 strike. I'd go a couple weeks out if it made more sense, because you got to pay commissions depending on your app. But I would just wheel it and just collect the premium every week. I'd just turn it into some income for a bit. Yeah, and David bought it for 55 cents. So right now, you're up about $100, because that will get just slashed tomorrow as far as your volatility and is it Vega Crush, IV Crush? Yeah, whatever. There's always a term. But it being down so much, your real value is what's going to drive that. Plus your couple days left of time.
Fortinet is up a ton here. It's up 13.5%. They came in, their earnings have been released. Their adjusted earnings per share came in at 51 cents versus the 43. Revenue came in at 1.42 versus 1.41 billion. So those earnings right off the bat aren't really earth shattering. So there's got to be something in there, I'm sure, probably guidance related. As soon as I get those numbers, I'll be happy to share those with you. But those are the initial Fortinet numbers there.
Do I not have a zone above that?
Crazy move. Let's see. Nope.
Okay, I'm just curious why it stopped right there. But I guess I just didn't zone out any higher.
But yeah, pretty crazy move there.
I guess Chipotle beat pretty crazy.
Yeah, let's go. So we'll move away from Snap as that continues to sell off. It's down nearly 30%. Let's go ahead and pull up Chipotle. Yeah, that's up 3.25.
$2,500. What's the share? What's the float available on this? 20 shares. It's gotta be 4 digits.
Let's see. I can actually look that up. Hold on one sec.
I think that's why I can't trade Chipotle. It seems like from its IPO, it's never diluted, never added shares. It's like, we're just a small Mexican chain. We're gonna
Small.
let's yeah, I know. Let's toss out 1,000 shares, and like it just keeps going up.
Yeah, so their earnings came in $10.36 versus the street estimate of $9.73. Pretty handy beat there. Sales came in up 8.4% versus 7 that was expected. Revenue was at the dollar amount was 2.52 billion versus 2.489. Pretty decent beat there. All the way across the board looks like the oh you're gonna like this, John, Don. They're looking to buy this $200 million buyback, so there's going to be even less shares to move around on the stock. So that's probably why the stock's moving up. But pretty decent quarter for them too.
Yeah, I don't know. And like Lisa said, there's no open interest. Yeah, there really is. And I joke around. I call it a small Mexican chain. You guys should know that I probably single-handedly show up on these. I wouldn't be surprised if I got a call out in these earnings calls. I mean, I'm there a lot. Chipotle and Monster, I could probably sponsor. But yeah, their volume, it's just fun to watch. It's like AutoZone. It just amazes me that it just goes up in price.
They have 27 million shares outstanding.
I would not have been surprised if you said 27,000.
I know. Yeah, 27 million, which is not a lot. Not a lot at all.
They don't need to be buying back. Split
Yeah,
this.
they really don't. Like, give us a split. Like, that would be great.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised they haven't split after all this time.
Yeah, I wonder if they're pulling a Bezos move. Bezos liked that drinking with his pinky out, talking about how high his stock is.
Yeah.
Like, gosh, why can't I think of his name? The CEO of Ford. Jeez.
Farley?
Yeah, Farley. Farley's not going to a party saying, "Yeah, my stock's up $13." People are gonna be like, "Big deal." Bezos is like, "We're 3,500."
Yeah.
Like, because who knows? Who really talks about share float and all that and that math? El Don Rudy does have a point. We do need to get that thumbs up button a little bit higher. We need 100% like ratio. So right now we need quite a bit more likes.
Yeah. I have, so on the Power Zone channel, there's 20 likes and 115 people are watching. So yeah, let's get that up.
Yeah. That's ridiculous. Nope, not having it. Especially if you guys want to hear about me losing my mind last night on Nvidia.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that in just a moment. So if you guys haven't, if you missed out on some of the earnings calls that we've had so far, I'm just gonna turn our attention back to Snap. Snap had some pretty terrible numbers, and the stock is now moving down still after the earnings release. It's down over 30%, down 30.5. It's starting to get to a point to where I feel like the overreaction is in. I wouldn't be mad at anybody looking to potentially go long on this from here. 30% is a bit crazy.
Honestly, if I bought puts, who called that out? Because I almost ranted on it because I was like, man, you bought out of the money. That is just gambling. I mean, earnings is basically a gamble anyway. Everyone's got their own way of doing things. This is where I probably would start to look at my deltas and start delta hedging. Like maybe if I had puts right now, I'd be buying some shares just to match it. So something to think about, because if you buy the shares right now, you can't lock in your puts. Options market is closed. You can look at the overall deltas. That's how many shares you control. You can literally match that 1-to-1, buy these shares, and whatever your puts would have been. If that stock starts to move, they'll move in tandem. So if your shares are down, your puts are going to be up that much more. But if your shares are up, your puts, even though you never saw it, gave back some of that profit.
So they beat on earnings per share, missed on revenue. Guidance came in line. Daily active users, I have the daily active users numbers, but I don't know what the expectation was. But daily active users, and we talked about this, daily active users, monthly active users is what really kind of influences this stock the most. They were at 414 million in Q4 2023, is an increase of 39 million or 10% year on year. Daily active users increased sequentially and year over year on both iOS and Android platforms. Total time spent watching Spotlight content increased more than 175% year over year. Spotlight average monthly active users increased more than 35%. Total public stories posted by Snap stars grew over 125% year on year. And they were quoted as, "We enter Q1, we anticipate growth of our global community, and as a result, our guidance range is built on the assumption that DAU will be approximately 420 in Q1, to 420 million, that is. So that's an increase from Q4. Guidance range for revenue, 1.09 billion to 1.13 versus 1.12, implying year-on-year growth of 11 to 15%. So I just don't see how this constitutes a 30% drop.
Well,
Which from a fundamental standpoint, we were talking about, the potentials here for options, Don, and obviously we're looking at this zone here, then around $12, looking like the selling is starting to slow here. So, any potential there, you think, to go long?
as a knife catcher, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Of
Understanding
course.
full risk and what I'm getting into, uh,
Yes,
yeah,
it just looks
I
like a
wouldn't have a
crazy
problem.
overreaction.
Yeah, I would. I personally, I would have a problem buying it at 12, but I also wouldn't be crying if I stopped out or watched it go to 8. 8 was a popular level for this, so let's just say it just continues to sell off, regardless of the reason or excuse. And people can cry all they want. Uh, the stock's going to do what it's going to do.
Yeah.
So I would just understand that fully before. Is it 8 or 9?
So this is nine
9.
nine and a
Okay.
quarter. Just about 9.25 here at the bottom of the zone here, and that was trading there about October of last year of 23. So really not that long ago. Came up
Mhm.
here and just kept trying to knock on the door of 1730 or 1740. Never really got over that. Now obviously it's taken a huge dive and
Mhm.
sitting here at 1236. So yeah, I mean there's potential. There's potential for it to come down, but
Yeah.
I think it's got to break below $12 before
Dom's
that
got a
happens.
Dom's got a great comment right here. First of all, he says he's not gonna like anything until you appreciate Palantir, and I feel like Mike Hudson and I speak for him. We're gonna have to stand behind that comment.
It's not that I don't appreciate it. People twisted my words.
uh, he says it's down that much. IV is gonna be great tomorrow. Sell some $10 puts if you want to own it. And he taking the words right out of my mouth. If my interest in this, honestly, this last year, 2023, a lot of my money was made from just selling options. Um, Usually, I'm such a directional play. I want to say I'm getting back into it. Like I'll try to ride the bike again. Today, we took some directional plays on Nvidia. Selling options, it's just like the lazy way out, because you don't have to time the move. You wait for the move and then sell the options contract against it. But it's just so easy. Like tomorrow, I probably will sell some $10 strike, if not the $11 strike puts on Snap. And if I own it, so what? I'll sell the 11 strike calls against it. If not the 12, if it's more at the money, I'll sell the 12. So I'll make money on the shares and the premium.
Yeah.
So if anyone has the capital to do so, if I'm going to sell the $10 strike, it's going to lock up $1,000, and you'll collect, $20. So some people don't like that as far as they're putting up $1,000 to make 20. You certainly wouldn't play that at a blackjack table, but I do that every week. So it does add up, and I don't chase things. I'm not selling at the money. I still sell out of the money just to keep it. But it looks like a lot of people are agreeing right now. Even Dimitri says, I agree. Snap's getting close to buy territory. It's in the territory now that I wouldn't care if I owned it.
Yeah.
I would certainly care if I owned it at 18 right now. I'd probably be
Yeah.
not happy, but uh, that being said, even let's say somebody bought it right at the close. They're in this thing just shy of $18. My question for management always, before I make an emotional decision, is if I wasn't in this right now, would I buy it? Would I sell it? Would I just not touch it? Let's say I'm in this thing. I'm pretty loaded out. I'm at $18. Maybe I just can't stomach another dollar of loss. But would I buy it right now if I was at this price? The answer is yes. I might just try to hold in a little bit longer. See if we don't get a dead cat bounce. Maybe you lose a little bit less. But think about that before you go making any emotional decisions and end up selling to people like me at the bottom.
For sure.
Mhm.
All right. So as you guys can see, Fortinet's on the other side of this chart here, and that's up around 12%. It's had a huge move. And so I just wanted to give you more detailed information on this. We talked about how they beat earnings and revenue, which they did. They came in at 51 cents. The revenue came in at 1.42 billion. That represents an 11% year on year increase. They beat those expectations by around $10 million. Service revenue was 927 million for the fourth quarter of 23, an increase of 25% compared to the same time last year. Product revenue was at 488 million for the fourth quarter, and that's a decrease of 9.6. So obviously, the service revenue, and that's with most companies like this, is the bell cow. So really no surprise there. But Fortinet is still growing. Total billings were 1.86 billion for the fourth quarter of 23, an increase of 8.5% compared to 1.72. Guidance here also good, 1.3 to 1.36. And then billings in the range of 1.39 to 1.45. Gross margin, non-GAAP gross margin is 76.5% to 77.5%. That is crazy. Non-GAAP operating margin in the range of 25.5 to 26.5. Pretty good stuff there. For 2024, looks like they guided down in revenue, 5.7 to 5.8 versus 5.9. That was the consensus there. So predicting a little bit of a slowdown for the 2024 year. Doesn't seem to matter. People still like it right now. Ford, on the other hand, as we were reacting to that, let's go ahead and put Ford up here on the right, the chart here on the left. Sorry, it's over here on the left. Had a great move. It was up as much as 7%, but still doing really well here after hours. It was already up over 4% here to close out the day, and now it's up another 6%. So a total of 10% move on the day today. They beat earnings and did so handily, but I wanted to try to see what the guidance was looking like, because it seemed as if it wasn't just that they beat, but that they had other great things to say. So 29 cents, that was a shocking number, and that's probably why we saw such a reaction, because they beat earnings there by 17 cents. The expectation was supposed to be around 12 to 13 cents per share. Revenue was 46 billion, an increase of 4% from the same period a year ago on comparable vehicle volumes. Net pricing was favorable. They anticipate full year adjusted EBITDA of 10 billion to 12 billion, as I'd mentioned. Then generate 6 to 7 billion in adjusted free cash flow. Also great for Ford. Company is total cost expected to be flat year over year. So if they can continue to bring the profits up, those are all going to be good numbers if they can keep costs the same. So really good stuff from Ford. I mean, we talked about it at the beginning of the show. Ford PE was at 6 times, and I just felt like that was super cheap. And they come in with numbers like that. I think Ford might continue to go up. We'll see how it does at the open tomorrow, but man, doesn't look like it's going to be selling off anytime soon. That's for sure.
It better.
It better sell off.
Yeah, as long as like I said, it just needs to be below $13 this Friday. That's what I don't have to manage those. I sold the $13 strike calls, so I don't have to manage those. And I would still be genuinely surprised if it did get above 13. Maybe it grinds its way up. Maybe we sell back to 12.50, then push our way up.
Yeah.
But this, I don't think that's going to be just an easy level just to kind of waltz right through, which is no surprising that the options chain priced in that move, which is why we have that white line there. For anyone that watched me draw that on Sunday, those weird coincidences happen all the time. But you do have to be subscribed and pay attention to see that. But you'd be surprised how often that happens. It goes up to one of those weird lines and then turns around.
So make sure you hit that subscribe button, guys, and come on over to the Power Zone. Again, if you guys are watching over on Don's channel, the Don Franz Show, make your way over here. We're going to all be living under one roof. So we're trying to migrate everybody over here so that we can continue to give you guys the content. And you don't have to choose between one channel or the other. We're all just going to be under the same one. So make sure you guys are doing that. And what a great day. Tomorrow, we have some more earnings. It's going to be, as I mentioned on yesterday, we have tons of earnings to react to. Today was just a flurry of them. Tomorrow is going to be no different. We have PayPal, Disney, ARM, Paycom, Mattel, McKesson also in there tomorrow morning, and we'll probably react to this a little bit tomorrow morning. Alibaba, Uber, CVS, Roblox, XPO, all going to be reporting before the bell tomorrow. And then we have, obviously, as I'd mentioned, PayPal, Walt Disney, ARM, and Wynn Resorts is also in there. So lots of stuff to react to. But Don, I know that you wanted to chat a little bit about NVIDIA. So why don't we go ahead and do that?
All right. We're going to are we up?
Yep.
Why is it? There we go. All right, let's bring up Nvidia because last night lost my mind. It was the first time I just, if you just ask anyone in the group right now, I opened up Nvidia and I just started saying no. I was like, this is unrealistic. This is not this is looking a lot like exit liquidity.
This
It's just
daily chart is absolutely bananas.
yeah, and so today, and all I mentioned yesterday, and I disclaimer to everybody in my group a million times, like, don't follow me in this. A couple people did. They don't. I don't do call outs, but they agreed with the play. So at the bell was to buy puts, and the thing that sucks is bought puts this morning, sold on, and I wish I could say I capitalized on all of this, but I was just so nervous after a run like this. I was up on my puts, and we all even kind of had the conversation in main chat. So if you're in the group, just scroll up this morning to main chat because the question was, hey, should we trail this? Should we put our stop in the green? And I was like, yeah. The volatility ended up tagging it out because it dropped a little bit further, making 15 to 20%, which would have been more like 80. Could have gone really up there. But what NVIDIA is reminding me of right now is Mara. Now, when Mara shot up, this is why I shorted Mara at $30. Oh, is it just trying to grab your screen? Keeps telling me to connect. But either way, Mara shoots up at $30. Zip Trader's got some videos on it. And all I'm hearing about is all the fundamentals as to why it should be up. I'm like, nah, that's not right. Fundamentals don't change hour to hour like that. And right now, so I shorted it. It was a great trade. And right now, NVIDIA is starting to look like that. It's been such a powerhouse, it's been such a monster. It can't even touch the demand of AI
No.
and the chips they're making. So I agree with why it is a powerhouse. But at the same time, where are my candles? There we go. It's too much too fast. So I hate to say this. I'm starting to look for shorting this. And I want to say, here, I'm going to pull up a chart really quick. I can't. Oh, how do I share this tab instead? Here we go. Still learning this. So
Okay.
yesterday we got 2 upgrades for NVIDIA to 800, and this happens a lot. These analysts they have their place. They're just kind of funny. They're never really right. Every time you hear an analyst call this out, you never really hear their name twice. Like out of the whole batch, there's like 1 or 2 guys that might have called the move, and then they get the spotlight for not even 15 minutes. It's just their 5 minutes. They can talk about why they called one move. Kathy Wood was probably the longest one that held on to it for a while just because of Tesla. But look right here. Goldman Sachs lowers NVIDIA's price target to 162 from 166. Funny coincidence, right after they do that, it just sends it. And now
Yeah.
Goldman Sachs is raising their price target to $800 right here. Well, I'm sorry. That was at 474. It's just visually, it starts to sound like they're trying to create a bunch of exit liquidity, which means they create a bunch of hype, retail buys. This is how retail ends up holding the bag a lot because they
Yep.
buy the news, they chase the news. They think they know something because they were the first person to hear the news. They don't like when CNN says that they don't wait until 8 p.m. that night to hear it. They think they heard it on the spot, so they got some insight. But it really started to sound like they're trying to create that extra liquidity, get that hype. And this looks like a volleyball spike. You got to set it before you just spike it right back down. So it does kind of look like some big players might be getting out. Very tinfoil hat, very, very too soon to tell. This is like the first red day it's had in a while. And last night, I even talked about if it gaps up tomorrow, I'm going in on puts. It didn't. It sold off pre-market, which was annoying. So I didn't go as heavy as I should have. But I think it would have been much better. But that is on my radar right now. This and SMCI, the charts look the same. It's hard to just go short and fight it like that. But you do have to ask yourself, like, what is this coming to? And so Vinny right here says he's been long Nvidia since 2019. He's got some Nvidia shares. What are your thoughts? I have Nvidia in my investment account. I can't touch that. I'll sell calls against it. I haven't. I've been avoiding selling calls. I've done it a couple times because of this absolute tear. I don't want to get rid of my shares.
Right.
But right now, I think it's probably a great time to be thinking about some kind of hedge, or if you have an investment account and a trading account, either don't. I'll just say I'm going short. Don't copy this. I don't want to hear about how much you lost. If you hear this, you go short, and next week it's at $800.
I tell you
I'll
what,
be shorting it again at that price, but
we as much shit as we and I say we as investors in the retail side of things have given Jim Cramer shit. This is one that he got absolutely right and continued to fucking nail.
oh, when did he call this one out?
He's been in it since the beginning of time. He's on his second dog that he's named Nvidia, just to give
Oh,
you
nice.
an
Yeah,
idea.
I have nothing bad to say about Nvidia. Like
Yeah.
there's so I didn't even know about this. I'm sure the volumes aren't right, but if you guys don't like options, shout out to Gerardo right now. NVDS. This is a bearish 1.25 times bear ETF. So if Nvidia turns around and Nvidia sells off, technically, if this how this should perform, if Nvidia sells off 10%, this in theory should be up 12.5% that day. It might not be a bad one to consider grabbing shares of. These ETFs will probably just go to zero. They do a reverse split. This is a 1 to 5, and then they do it again, unless that was just an actual split. Be careful with these. I'll be in the options world, but for people that don't understand options, it's just easier to buy a share because that's their comfort zone. That might not be a bad play, but I'm very curious to hear just what are your thoughts on Nvidia? Nvidia, because I have never this whole run up. I've shorted Nvidia one other time. It wasn't the growth count. It was a 50% play. So last year, the growth count took, I think, 3 day trades the whole year. People think you got a day trade to make money. I took 3. Nvidia was one of them. And it's only because it was up 50% that day. Other than that, I've been on just the Nvidia train. Like, just let this thing go. Don't short it. It's a powerhouse. Sometimes it bases out. Sometimes you just get a red, like, hiccup, on like the 5-minute chart if you look close enough. And then it just continues to push up. But right now, I think exit liquidity, I think it could have, there is earnings right around the corner. I would be shocked to see it have a red earnings.
Here's what I'll say.
What's that?
I was going to say, here's what I'll say. If you are not in Nvidia, now is not the time to go long in it. If you've been in it, if this is a long-term play for you, then I wouldn't do a damn thing. I would just hang out and enjoy the ride but if you're not in it and you're getting antsy because you feel like you're missing out on something, that's the recipe for disaster. That's how you're going to lose money. I mean, it's up 40% since the first of the year, which is crazy. It's trading at 56 times next year's earnings. We know it's nearly a $2 trillion stock, which it just feels like it wasn't even that long ago before it became a $1 trillion stock. And so I'm with Don. You don't want to short this thing, but I would hesitate to just go long all the way up here because it's bound to correct. And so that's when you look for the opportunity, not now. And it may continue to climb, not saying that it won't. And you might miss out on even more gains, but the risk versus reward here to go long on it seems a bit crazy to me. If I'm somebody who's not in Nvidia and looking for potential, looking to buy it here, I just would not be a smart move in my opinion.
Yeah. So these are what the market makers are pricing in right now. We were above 1. Now we're supposed to be inside this for the whole week. 65% chance we stay inside this the whole week. 95% chance we stay inside that second gray line. We crossed that line Monday pre-market.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then it sold off and pushed right back up. Then we gapped up right here. So even the market makers aren't getting this one right, which tells me we're in momentum territory, which should have the bulls on alert right now. Anybody that's trading this any kind of short term is probably looking at that and thinking, if we're standing on ice, we're hearing some cracks, we're seeing some signs that probably aren't going to be good. And what I'm talking again, guys, I'm a trader, so I'll ride this whole storm out as far as an investment goes. But as a trader, I would think, is this my time? I'm using these as signs. Is this my time to make some money going short? I wish I had the stones to just hold a put, but I do like money. I have like an income bias. I can't be out here just pissing money into the wind.
Yeah.
But I got to say, I am tempted to maybe even hold a put just for a while.
Yeah.
For at least for a couple weeks. It was
Yeah.
a while
Yeah.
for me, but
For sure. And look, this is something that we're going to continue to monitor. Obviously, Don will be covering this one tonight, even more so. So just wanted to address this. Jag was asking about PayPal earnings. PayPal earnings are tomorrow, so make sure that you're coming back tomorrow around 3:45. We're going to react to those in real time. So make sure that you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and we'll be right back here, same time, same place, to react to not only that, but also Disney has their earnings that get released tomorrow. ARM, Wynn Resorts, and Mattel, McKesson, a couple other ones. And then Thursday, we also got another pretty stacked docket of earnings. Affirm, Pinterest, Cloudflare, Expedia, Bill.com, Take-Two also reporting all on Thursday too. So just another jam-packed week of earnings. It's been exciting. So guys, thanks so much for tuning in. That's going to do it for today's show. Don's gonna be back live. What's that? 7 p.m. Eastern time, Don?
Yeah.
Okay. So 7 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you guys are coming back for that. And that's gonna do it for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you'll see Don this evening and you'll see me tomorrow. See you guys.
Have a good one.